Hi, everyone. Happy New Year. And here I am with a new episode of the Speak English Now podcast. The podcast that helps you speak English fluently with no grammar and no textbooks. If you want to help me, share the podcast with your friends and family. That would mean a lot. Thanks. On my website, you can find the 5 secrets to speaking English and my premium courses. Before we start, get the transcript. Visit speakenglishpodcast.com/podcast. Okay, let's start. This is the 3rd episode of our 4-part series about going to the doctor. So far, we practiced how to make an appointment and how to check in at the clinic. Today we'll continue with the next step, talking with the nurse. Usually, before you see a doctor, a nurse will ask you a few questions about your health. Here are some common questions and phrases you might hear from the nurse. What brings you in today? Which means, why are you here? How long have you had these symptoms? Do you have any allergies? Are you taking any medication? Do you smoke or drink alcohol? To measure your weight, she could tell you, please step on the scale. I will take your blood pressure. Please roll up your sleeve. And here are some answers you might use. I've had a cough for 3 days. I'm allergic to penicillin. I take vitamins every morning. I don't smoke, but I drink coffee every day. Let's learn some more realistic examples. Here are some routine questions. Good morning. What brings you in today? I've been feeling dizzy for a week. Do you have any allergies? Yes, I'm allergic to peanuts. Here's another example. Taking vitals. Please step on the scale. Sure. Now I will take your blood pressure. Please roll your sleeve. Okay. And this is a short conversation about symptoms. How long have you had this pain? It started yesterday afternoon. Does anything make it better or worse? It gets worse when I eat. Here's some extra vocabulary. Symptoms. These are the signs of illness you feel in your body, like fever, cough, or pain. Medication is medicine prescribed by a doctor. Allergies. These are reactions to things like food, pollen, or medicine. Vitals are basic health measurements: temperature, blood pressure, pulse, and weight. Now let's practice with a point of view story. I will tell you the same story, but in different points of view. This will help you practice grammar in a natural way. You can find more of this method in my premium courses. Visit speakenglishpodcast.com/courses. Hi, I'm Jake. Yesterday, I went to the clinic for my appointment and sat in the waiting room. After a few minutes, the nurse called my name. She asked me to follow her into a small room. I sat down, and she asked me a few questions. She asked what brought me in that day. I said I had a sore throat and a fever. The nurse asked how long I had these symptoms. I said that they started 3 days earlier. She wrote everything down very carefully. Then she asked if I had any allergies. I said I was allergic to penicillin. She nodded and wrote that down too. Next, she took my temperature and checked my blood pressure. She said that my temperature was a bit high, but my blood pressure was normal. Before leaving the room, she smiled and said, "Try not to get worse while you wait." I smiled politely and waited for the doctor. So let's hear the same story in the plural. They go to the clinic for their appointment and sit in the waiting room. After a few minutes, the nurse calls their name. She asks them to follow her into a small room. They sit down, and she asks them a few questions. She asks what brings them in that day. They say they have a sore throat and a fever. The nurse asks how long they have these symptoms. They say that they started 3 days earlier. She writes everything down very carefully. Then she asks if they have any allergies. They say they're allergic to penicillin. She nods and writes that down too. Next, she takes their temperature and checks their blood pressure. She says their temperature is a bit high, but their blood pressure is normal. Before leaving the waiting room, she smiled and says, "Try not to get worse while you wait." They smile politely and wait for the doctor. Now let's hear the same story in the future. Jake will go to the clinic for his appointment and will sit in the waiting room. After a few minutes, the nurse will call his name. She will ask him to follow her into a small room. He will sit down, and she will ask him a few questions. She will ask what brings him in that day. He'll say that he has a sore throat and a fever. The nurse will ask how long he's had these symptoms. He'll say they started 3 days earlier. She'll write everything down very carefully. Then she'll ask if he has any allergies. He'll say he's allergic to penicillin. She'll nod and write that down too. Next, she'll take his temperature and check his blood pressure. She'll say that his temperature is a bit high, but his blood pressure is normal. Before leaving the room, she'll smile and say, "Try not to get worse while you wait." Jake will smile politely and wait for the doctor. Great! I love using stories like these. They're easy to remember and really helpful to learn English. A bit of humor also makes the process more funny and enjoyable. You can find more of this method in my premium courses. Visit speakenglishpodcast.com/courses. If you want to help me, share the podcast with your friends and family. That would mean a lot. Thanks. I'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Bye-bye.
Did you enjoy today's episode? Get the transcript now at speakenglishpodcast.com.